everybody. Hi, how's it going? I know it's been a while. I'm Blind Mind Brad. Yeah, by the time you see this video, the YouTube channel will be changed, the name at least. Uh, Today I have something different for y'all. Actually, a podcast episode. Yeah, I know it's been like a year plus since I did a last time, so I thought I would do another one because guests are so hard to come by. But this guest was kind enough to actually lend me his time and deal with all the hullabaloo that it took to get to this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, if you haven't subscribed to him, I highly suggest doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Power Keg Greg.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Yeah, yes, yes, yeah. Power Greg has a YouTube channel, and yeah, I found him through one of his friends, Eric Rowland, who you have seen on the channel before. Really good guy, and he recommended your channel to me, and I thought, you know what, let me see what this guy's about, and I've been a subscriber ever since.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I've known Eric since like high school.
Oh wow,
Yeah, way back in the day. So, we connected through art, anime, and video games and all that stuff. And yeah, been best friends ever since. Yeah, one of my best friends to this
nice,
day still.
nice.
So that's
I
always good,
never,
right?
yeah, nice to have one of those friends. I never knew that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. We've been through like thick and thin through some insanities as that life gives to many people. So
Hmm.
you know, very good guy. Love him as a brother. And yeah, I'm humbled and blessed that he mentioned me
Yeah.
in a list of people to chat with. So really happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have you here too because, like I said, Eric's a good guy. I like Eric, he's not been cool to me. Been very good. He's an older man. I'm a little bit younger than him. He's been giving me some advice, in life sometimes, and been really nice to have him as if I could say this with confidence, a friend. Uh, and hopefully everybody in the listening to this can have become your friend too. You should all go subscribe to him. His link will be in the description when these videos go up. They're probably going to be in parts. I'm going to break it down at least. This is going to be the first part. I don't know when the second part's going to be. I will list it and probably say something. I don't know. But how did you start your YouTube stuff? Like you got a pretty good following. I mean, it's not super huge, super big, but what I like to do is
Mhm.
ask people, usually if I have content creators or if I have artists like musical artists or whatever the case may be. I like to ask, where did you come from? So where did you come from, Greg?
Let's see. Well, I came from a small town in Illinois. Um, just a nice rural town called Rochelle, Illinois. People usually don't know where that is, but it's kind of near like DeKalb and Rockford, outside of Chicago, like 2 hours outside of Chicago, uh, in the north region, like kind of near Wisconsin. Landmark wise, like close to Northern Illinois University, if anybody knows where that is. So that's where I hailed from. Currently now living in Texas. Moved down here, kind of with Eric as well on his journey into voice acting and stuff, because that's I do enjoy acting and enjoy voice acting. So I was trying to do that, but the Lord kind of guided me elsewhere in terms of what I want to do with my life. And one of the gifts that I feel that the Lord has bestowed upon me, like with whether it's acting or creativity, like video editing and stuff, been trying to do that in terms of like content creation, which obviously is, I mean, everyone is trying to do it now and whatnot. So it's always hard to kind of go and make a break through that sort of stuff too. And my following is unique in the sense too, because let's see, man, I think I started my YouTube channel like back in college, and that was like 2000. Let's see, like 6 through 10, and that was back in the old days. Did you remember old YouTube?
I remember the remnants of it. I remember when YouTube first became a thing, but
Mhm.
I was so young that, I was in that age demographic when YouTube was coming out where it was like, parents had to be highly supervising what I do on the internet. And so, yeah, YouTube wasn't really a big thing. Like if I wanted to watch some music videos, my mother would pull it up because I was like maybe 8 or 9 when it came about.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm not sure how old you are. I'm like up in my 40s per se. Little
I'm,
still
I'm, I'm
yeah,
just
a
30.
little yeah, I'm 30. I'm like 37. So I'm like 3 years away to that 40. I think I'm 37. I should lie and say I'm like 26 or something.
You
But
could have fooled me. I mean, you look as old as you sound.
oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't know whether that was a compliment or not.
It
So
depends on how you take it. I mean, I'm the blind guy. I can't see you regardless. So, I mean,
that is
you look
oh
as
no,
young as you
yeah.
sound.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But I mean, it's one of those things where I don't really care about my age anymore, which is weird because like some people like are like super obsessed about their age. I'm like, dude, I know I'm old, but I could care less about, just age wise. As long as you think you're young, you'll be young forever, right?
Yeah, I have the problem where people ask, "Oh, you shaved? Oh, how old are you again?" I said, "Oh, I actually had this encounter. It was a few years ago, and somebody asked me, it's like, oh, by the way, how old are you? You come into this restaurant all the time, little mom and pop place." And I go, "Oh, I'm about 26, 27. This is a few years ago." She goes, "Oh, I thought you were 13."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, no, but sure." So I get it. I get
Yeah.
it a little bit. I got that opposite problem. I want to look older. I don't want to be. I look like I'm about 18 or 19 now, and that's because I have facial hair. But back then, oh my, I looked like I was 12 or 13 years old, and still kind of do.
Yeah, it's always the thing, like the facial hair like really does make the difference. So like grow that beard out or mustache or whatever you got to do, this sort of thing. Because I know if I for some reason feel like I really need to just shave everything off and like start over, I'm just like, man, I look young, not super young, but like it's like the baby face kind of comes out of you, and then it's like, I don't know if I like it or not.
Hmm. So yeah, back to the you said you started about 2006, 2007, give or take of your YouTube career.
Yeah, that was probably like when the channel first started. For taking it seriously, I would probably say the past couple years or so was probably when it was like, I think this is something to where I could utilize the gifts that, the Lord has given me and like really try to do that. And of course the catch, what, 22? The catch 22 of it is, how to grow the channel, but also balance, the side of paying the bills and stuff like that, while also not getting burnt out about everything. So it's been very up and down sort of thing. But yeah, if I would say like when the channel started, yeah, way back then, and then past couple of years here, trying, kind of taking it seriously.
So when would you say your biggest subscriber, like when you said you were going serious over the last 2 years, is that when you were going like the hardest and you got the most results, or would you say that you put in the
Ye-
like where
Yeah.
would you say your peak was if it, like in subscriber wise, if you had one?
Peak and subscriber wise, it's kind of funny, really. My channel in the beginning was kind of a variety channel, which is very, very hard to do. If you listen to like the people out there, they're like, how to build your channel and like do this and that sort of thing. 'Cause really what I mean, the advice they give is kind of all the same per se, and I will be the first to tell you I'm terrible with the algorithm. Like some people know how to work the algorithm. I am terrible at it. I'm trying to understand it, but that's one of the things a lot of people complain about is like the YouTube algorithm always changes. And so you have to keep up to date on that and like numbers and stuff. It's just like, dude, I don't want to worry about that. Like I just want to make content, sort of thing, and do stuff that I enjoy doing. Peak subscriber wise, actually, is actually I made compilation videos of Best of Pigeon from Mike Tyson Mysteries. I don't know if you ever heard of that show.
I've heard of it, never watched it, but everything about it just sounds. It's like one of those shows that was peak Adult Swim, like during the Drunky Crow Assy McGee era to me. That's what it
Yep,
reminds me
yep.
of.
So that show, I've noticed in kind of like reading the comments on like the videos and stuff. It was a show that people watched. They're like, this is kind of dumb and turned it off. But then later on, they watched it again. Like I say they, but I should be really saying me. But people have made similar comments, and it's like and it was why did I skip this over? This is like the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen. And specifically with me, when I say best of Pigeon compilation videos, Pigeon was voiced by Norm Macdonald, uh,
Ah,
yeah, and it was around that time when he, passed away. God rest his soul. That was when I kind of saw a flux, and YouTube recommends stuff, and I just they were always out there, but like a lot of Norm Macdonald like clips and stuff really started showing up again. And one of the ones that I noticed was, and I recently started watching My Tyson Mystery, and that was one of a role that he played that wasn't getting a lot of attention. And so just to keep myself sharp editing wise and not to get rusty and stuff, I just made best of compilation videos because I've seen them on YouTube and stuff, but they always have to do something to get around, the YouTube algorithm and the censorship in terms of like, music copyright and all that garbage. And me, I just wanted to share with people like, hey, I'm guarantee you guys haven't seen this sort of role. And so and with the compilation videos, the editing isn't, to me, like a lot of the ones I saw weren't very clean. Like they would jump to like another joke. Like you can find Family Guy compilations and stuff like that, but they would like cut out parts of the joke that like kind of like ruin the flow. So for me, it was like I'm gonna show like the joke from start to finish and then kind of tie everything together, in like any compilation video, best of what you think is the funniest. So uploaded that, and that that kind of just exploded with viewership, subscriber count, and whatnot. But ultimately, the thing is because YouTube with their their
copyright.
copyright, yeah, thank you, their copyright and whatnot, it ultimately where I got demonetized for reusing content and whatnot. And really that's not what the channel was about. The channel for me was, talk about video games, game streaming, when I make content like Dragon Ball Z or anime, things that I enjoy doing. And while it was great to see that those videos really take off because I made a bunch of them, I kept having to fight the copyright stuff to where it would get blocked worldwide. And the minute the channel got demonetized, it was like, yeah, we're gonna stop that. So I kind of made a throwaway channel called Best of Mike Tyson Mysteries Archive or something like that, and that's where you can find the ones that at least got past the copyright stuff in terms of not being blocked worldwide. And but it was an eye-opening sight of like, wow, like if if you work hard towards at least trying to do stuff that I enjoy doing, that's what I would want to do. So that's what I've been shooting for to try to do.
And I noticed that you mainly play video games, and you have a little podcast of your own. What came first, the video games or the podcast? And what made you decide to do that?
Yeah, well, the video games obviously came first. With streaming, it's it's an interesting thing because with streaming, you once you can get everything situated and set up, like it's just like, schedule what time you want to go live, hit go, and boom, you're right there. And then what makes it transformative and fun is that you can interact with people. and also, who doesn't love a good video game here and there? And I wanted to showcase a lot of video game footage for video games that I'm playing for the first time. So I grew up with a Nintendo, but I really grew up with like a Sega Genesis and then ultimately a PS2. So a lot of the classics gaming wise, I never experienced growing up as a kid, like your Legend of Zelda, which I have played now, but back then I didn't do that. Uh, the Nintendo was our first system, but my parents didn't know that once the Nintendo crapped out, like they didn't know where to take it to get it fixed, so they just gave it away. And like all the games we had, we just gave it away. But then we moved on to Sega Genesis. And then pretty much once we got our PS2, that's kind of where I became a Sony fan in terms of that. The modern gaming nowadays, there's a bunch of stuff to say with that, but to go back to what your question was, yeah, the gaming came first, and then my podcast came second. And that stemmed from really me being frustrated about the cancel culture that really took place when specifically like the Vic Mignogna situation happened, where the Me Too movement happened, and then just this like divide in the voice acting community. Because, like I stated earlier, I wanted to utilize my gift of an enjoyment of acting and specifically, wanted to be like, I think voice acting would be a really fun thing to do. Obviously, you would want to try to do everything, acting, voice acting, because voice acting is a branch of acting. So move down to try to figure out get an agency and work, or at least work towards that. Moved down to Texas at one point, trying to do that. Uh, and this is with my friend Eric, and we were both on the voice, the acting journey together with voice acting. He Eric's a insanely hard worker, and he worked very hard and got his foot in the door and started climbing up there, and it was great, it was fantastic, and then the old Corona Chan came about, Orange Bad Man that a lot of these people hate came about, and then the whole Vic Mignogna situation kind of just divided everything, and then people just started, you know, snakes becoming snakes, revealing who they were, the masks slipping, and then my friend Eric, pretty much got canceled for wrong think, and that was when I got really frustrated and to where it's like, well, this is ridiculous. Like back in the, 90s, early 2000s and stuff, no one cared about this. And if there was problems, it stayed behind the scenes. It didn't affect the product. Well, the product now is now being infected. I think there's definitely now being a pushback against like DEI and all that stuff. And so I wanted to create the Power Up podcast that keeps ourselves in the loop of news involving pop culture in general, video games, anime, manga, what have you. Keep ourselves sharp. Look at what good's taking place, what bad's taking place, and the ugly side of stuff. And for me, since I'm a man of faith, I try to be. I'm not perfect or anything like that. I'm a sinner like everybody else. When I see the opportunity arises, kind of talk about how that can be connected as well too, because I enjoy studying scripture and kind of analyzing and looking at the supernatural element side of scripture as well, which angels and demons and like the supernatural like powers out there. It's absolutely crazy from a Christian standpoint. And so that's why I wanted to start up the Power Up podcast.
And started it was there was something I was so you said you started with Nintendo. So what do you remember what your first video game was?
Yes, Super Mario Brothers.
Ah, I see, I see.
Yep, we had I know there was different versions, like different bundle packs. We had the Nintendo that came with the Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt Duck Hunt combo with the zapper and controller.
Ah, see, like I said, when I was a wee lad, we had the NES and the SNES, but I was so young that I barely remember it. I remember there being like a wrestling game that me and my brothers used to play because I'm one of four brothers. So, yeah, I remember all those little systems like the NES, the SNES. I don't really remember them. I even played the Atari a little bit, which was super fun.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I like that kind of stuff. When I could see, I used to like that kind of stuff. Can't do it now, but
Mm, that's
yeah,
unfortunate. Was it?
yeah, it was
Was
something I was born with.
oh,
It went worse. I
oh,
used
I'm
to be
sorry to hear that,
really,
man.
it happens, unfortunately. It's hard, something I can't, it's something I have trouble dealing with, but when I'm not playing a video game, or watching anime, I think I'm pretty good with coping, but unfortunately, those are things I like to do. So, yeah, I used to be a real big fan of hack and slash games
Oh, I love
uh
hack and slash games.
like DMC.
Oh yeah.
Onimusha. Everybody described to me Onimusha, and I was like, that sounds really fun. I would have loved to play that.
Funny you mentioned Onimusha. I actually played through all the Onimusha games not too long ago. Onimusha 1 through 3, and then Dawn of Dreams, and now there's a new Onimusha game coming out.
And you're very scared because it's modern Capcom, and I am too because
Uh,
it's modern Capcom.
Yeah, I am. I'm a tad bit worried. Again, I do think that there's a push that's happening. But as I've stated on some of the shows I've done in the past, I don't know. I don't know. I just think one of these companies is going to crash and burn. I personally think it's going to be Ubisoft. And as I guess cold-hearted as it sounds, it might be it might sadly needs to be what happens for hopefully a ripple to be sent out to kind of wake up these studios and tell them to get their heads out of their butts. I don't know if we can swear or not, so I'll try to limit what I slip out, which really I shouldn't even be swearing to begin with, but we're
I
working on
agree
that.
with it. I agree with that sentiment. Swearing look, you're a grown man. You can do what you want, but I prefer the not swearing. But hey, if it comes out, it comes out. I don't.
Well, that's
Uh,
something I probably should have asked before we started. So that's why
yeah,
I'm holding my tongue, I guess you could say. But uh, back to what I was talking about, my train of thought was that one of these companies needs to pretty much be shut down or get bankrupt and something get bankrupt and hopefully sends a message throughout the other studios to just start listening to the fans. The people that you're trying to cater to like are a very weird fringe minority that don't even like games to begin with. They're tourists, they don't care. The only thing they care about is that they leave their weird stamp of approval on it, which destroys it more than creates it.
yeah. I honestly, I've said it in the past when it comes to this. Like, I kind of want a full on crash.
Hmm.
I kind of want a full on crash, old like ET style, and to where everybody, it's just a it's pretty much a hard reboot because all these companies are kind of like, if you think about it, if and I've talked with this about other people that work in gaming companies or worked in the gaming industry or just play video games, and
Hmm.
they mentioned we've had this conversation that video gaming is kind of like there's no heart or passion behind it anymore. Because okay, if you want to play a first person shooter, all right, cool. You got your Call of Duty, and you're maybe that's the forerunner. Everybody knows about Call of Duty, but they may not know about Bulletstorm, or they may not know about Deus Ex, which is a JRPG, I believe. But nevertheless, it's a first person shooter. If you want to play a fighting game, well, if you want to play a 3D fighting game, if unless you like retro stuff, all you got is Tekken. If you want to play a 2D fighter, well, you have more to choose from, but they're so similar that there's kind of like Japan is a little bit different because they have like there's more variety, but the problem is that a lot of their stuff like they just obviously they're going to go where the money is, and if a Street Fighter makes money, they're going to make everybody and their grandmother is going to copy Street Fighter. But
Yep.
nowadays it's like to give you an example, growing up, you had games like Destiny fight or Fighting Destiny or whatever it was called, where you had a dancing cow that was a menace to everybody's existence. I will say that now. You had other games like Virtual Fighter or that were 3D. You had these other games. You had a plethora of games you could go through. Nowadays, it's like you got two, maybe one, maybe two. Like Soul Calibur is dead now because of Tekken. Uh,
Yep.
it's like there's a monopoly, and I get if it makes money, it makes money. But more games like game juggernauts like Mortal Kombat is dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I fell out of Mortal Kombat like long ago, and there's some interesting Mortal Kombat like varieties too. Like I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Have you heard of that game?
I have heard of it. I just never got a chance to play it.
It's definitely a fighting game, but it's like your third geez, like a side scroller, like beat 'em up kind of fighting game. It's really good. I'm probably not doing it justice
I
explaining
have
it,
heard I
but
have heard everyone say good things about that
yeah, it
game.
is absolutely it's a good game, and I feel like a lot of people kind of missed that one, or it was one of those gems on the PS2 that just kind of went underneath. And getting to what you were talking about in terms of everything, like there's pretty much a dominant genre out there that people can just go to now, and then everyone's trying to copy it. That's part of why and I'm just a guy also throwing his 2 cents out into the abyss of pop culture commentary. But that's why I love like your 80s, your 90s, your early 2000s in any sort of entertainment because it was like I don't want to say experimental, but like no one was worried about failing. If it failed, it failed, but you accepted it for what it is. And some of the perceived failures at the time turn out to be cult classics. Nowadays, it's more of like perverting and twisting like well-established franchises, replacing it to what's considered progressive nowadays and just assume like, oh, we'll make money out of this. And it's like, well, no, because it's soulless. There's no heart behind it. You're just, you know, taking what was established, doing the reverse of it, and just assume that, oh, well, people like the franchises, so, we'll get our money back easily. And it's like, nope. But then you have stuff that's just been beaten to death to where it's like we want some sort of and then really that kind of goes down another rabbit hole of like is there such thing as originality anymore? Um and now it's more of trying to find something new and refreshing, but is it still out there? And if it is, like repackaging it to present something new. Because I think that's where a lot of stuff is going to is a lot of stuff has been done before, but if you're good enough and clever enough to repackage it and turn it into something that is new and refreshing, then that's one thing too. That's like what some people involving anime nowadays. They're like, oh, this is the best. This is like I've kind of fell out of anime a little bit, and I'm trying to get back in there, and that's what the whole voice acting scenario that I saw took place around me. Um, but some people that are really hyping of like today's anime is so amazing and stuff, it's like you do realize that was influenced like by the animes in the past that you may not particularly like because it's not progressive enough.
And also the going back to the whole anime thing, not only like I think it started with video games. Video games was the Patient X, but I think it trickled into like nowadays. Because if I hear Ubisoft is making a game, or if I hear Capcom's making a game, or if I hear NetherRealm's making a game, I go, oh my gosh, I roll my eyes because I know that whatever they make is just going to be pandering garbage. And I just
Hmm.
I want to, like you said, to take a chance. And I think that's why the uprise of the indie gamer has come up recently.
I agree.
Like you have games that are like they're Hades. I hear Hades is a very popular indie developed game. Now I could be wrong if it was indie developed or not because I don't play games like that. Can't. But I heard that it's an indie developed game. Like there's a lot of Power World. Power World is one of the most It's bigger than Poke. It was at one point bigger than Pokemon to the point where Nintendo got butthurt and had to sue, even though they
Well,
had no
yeah.
grounds.
No, you're 100% right on that. And that's kind of like what happens of like there's still this lingering infestation of it too. Because hey, I played Hades. Hades 1, amazing. Hades 2, I heard got very DEI'd about it. Like like what was it? Like one of the gods is like in a wheelchair or something, and it's like it's like a mystical world or something. Like you have literal magic to like fix everything, sort of thing. It's kind of like what they're doing with Dungeons and Dragons and sort of thing. And then what was the one game you listed? You listed Power World. Yeah, Power World. Like I've heard people complain about the DEIing in Pokemon games now too, where feminine features are not being made not feminine anymore because we don't want to offend, certain people and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, just make a game that's good.
Yeah, and, the thing is, like everybody thinks, oh, it has to have sexy women to succeed. No, it doesn't have to have sexy women to succeed. It does help it, but we're not looking at people. Look, I know we're all people are degenerates. I get it, but we're not.
Yeah,
People aren't
very
looking
true.
at a Pokemon game and going, oh yeah, I totally want that or anything. No, it's just don't make it obvious. Like you can, and here's the thing: you could also have strong female characters in things. I mean, back in the
There's
day, Buffy.
oh
Look at Buffy.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. Is back in the day, everything, of course, the progressive nowadays would say there was things wrong with it. But no, back in the day, everything was perfectly fine and no one, there was a strong woman, then yeah, sweet, there's a strong woman. But the strong woman they're trying to present here are just garbage. They're not interesting. A lot of them are really unoriginal because all you're doing is literally taking the hated white, male, protagonist and switching it to, a shaved headed, woman lesbian and like, oh, this will sell because she's strong, she's independent and stuff. And it's like, and the funny thing is, I got a bachelor of fine arts degree, and you want to know one of the things I learned in college? In college is that I can't even if I can talk. Sex sells. That's the thing these people don't want to admit is sex is a selling tool. Money, sex, and power you will find in any advertisement around. You will find those theme in there because it sells. But I agree with what you said too. Like, yeah, like you there's nothing wrong with like femininity and showing, beauty in that sort of area too. But, you don't need to plaster it all over the place because if that's the case, then that tells me that you don't really have a good story to go on. You're just, trying to bait people in.